Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Salty Fundraiser, where I answer questions from friends, clients, family, and even strangers on the internet. If I have any knowledge about your question about fundraising. If you have a question for the Salty Fundraiser, feel free to shoot me an email. And if I have thoughts or information about it, perhaps it'll show up on a future edition. So today's is going to be really quick and hopefully painless, because it's a gorgeous day outside and I really want to get out to the garden. But today's question has come from a particular client, but also many people ask me this question because I feel like there's some confusion around it. And what I get asked a lot is, why do I need to steward in a storytelling way my annual fund? So nonprofit organizations have these things called annual funds. You could also call it a general fund. It is essentially a big pool of unrestricted dollars from donors that is just for the operating budget of the fundraising organization. I am seeing a huge increase in interest in annual funds, and I also think it's an interesting place to unfocus your fundraising experience and even your major gift focus from those restricted funds, which truthfully a lot of times give too much power to donors, and towards the annual fund. And I think that the way that you can do that and still incentivize large and meaningful gifts is by to tell a better story about how you're using your annual fund. So when you're stewarding your annual fund, anybody who's given to the annual fund should receive some sort of narrative impact report. And that is a report that doesn't include an ask, and it's not around ask time. And it is a story about how you've used the funds and why it's important to have unrestricted dollars. Unrestricted dollars are important because you need to be able to pivot. COVID year has taught us that better than anything, that you need to be able to respond quickly and effectively to the changing needs of the organization and the times that are at hand. And you can do that through annual fund giving. So when you're creating a stewardship or impact report for your annual fund, you do not need to name every penny that you've spent through your annual fund. Sometimes your annual fund is fixing your sidewalks. Sometimes your annual fund is buying pencils. That's maybe not a terrifically compelling story for donors. So what I would suggest is highlight one or two things that your annual fund allowed you to do this year, and then tell a story about it. So we have lots of ways that we can tell really compelling stories in nonprofits. There's a great formula that I work on with my clients. But the basis of this story is steward your annual fund. Don't be afraid to ask for major gifts to your annual fund. It's not that donors don't want to give to an annual fund. It's that we often don't know how to tell a story that they find compelling that would tell them why it's important to give unrestricted funding. It's a way to take away some of the strange power dynamics that organizations often feel, as well as a way to begin to educate and incentivize your donors to help you with the actual day-to-day work of your organization, which includes paying employees a living wage. So steward your annual fund, do it in a wonderful storytelling way, and thanks for visiting the Salty Fundraiser. If you have any questions for the Salty Fundraiser in a future program, feel free to shoot me an email, and if I have an answer, I'll answer. But until then, thanks.